honestly, I don't know what to say. I honestly really don't know. Excuse me. I really don't know what to say, because it really does show that WWE, when it comes to SmackDown, sure, they've got like a few storylines planned or anything, but it just seems like they're not really caring. I mean, like, you got this whole thing with Mandy and Otis, which is something I find is probably the most entertaining thing about SmackDown. But I really don't know. I really don't know. It just seems like WWE just don't know what they're doing for SmackDown when it comes to their pay-per-views. It's just weird to me. So we started things off with Kane. Kane made an appearance, and this was all Kane was here to do. People were freaking out that we're seeing Kane in the year 2020, and all he did was talk about the Royal Rumble, how he once held the record, and then Bray Wyatt appeared, the Fiend then appeared, and Daniel Bryan attacked the Fiend. Kane was basically used as a decoy, as a distraction. And I'll actually admit, using Kane to further the storyline with Daniel Bryan, I did not mind that, honestly. I didn't mind it. Kane didn't do much. It's not like he came back out later on to have a match or anything. I felt like this was a good way to use Kane. I genuinely feel like this was the best usage of Kane. No need for him to be in the ring. He can make an appearance, not do anything. I just thought this was the best usage of Kane. And we're probably never going to be seeing Kane again after this anyway. So it's not really a big deal that Kane came back for one night only. I don't see him sticking around like the Big Show. I feel like he's going to be going away back to Knoxville. Going back to Knoxville when this is all said and done. First match was John Morrison, making his first match back in 8 years. He was actually very impressive here. I really enjoy watching John Morrison when he was around in 2011. And it was really cool to see him back. Seeing him develop some new moves. He still got some of his old moves. But the one thing I did notice that was different was his Starship Pain finisher. Normally, when he would do the Starship Pain, normally he'd grab the ropes, jump up, then spring his legs out, then he'd do the twists and turns. But this time, he jumps onto the middle rope, and then he jumps on the top rope, and then he springs his legs out. Maybe he's doing it to be more creative, or unless maybe he's or maybe it's because he's about 40 years old, and maybe he just thinks he's maybe not capable of doing the old thing anymore. I thought it was very, very weird to see him do the Starship Pain a lot different than he used to. But John Morrison got the win here, as he should, because you can't have him lose in his first match back. So your tag team champions have lost back-to-back weeks. And people say WWE, don't shove the New Day down our throats. This is the second week they've lost in a row as the tag team champions. So the fact that Miz and Morrison have beaten the tag team champions twice in 2 weeks, that's clearly setting up Miz and Morrison versus the New Day for the tag team titles at the Royal Rumble. Well, at least we hope so, because they seem to be a bit lazy with match stipulations. So then we had the Usos taking on the Revival here. Pretty boring tag team match. Very predictable. Usos got the win there. Lacey Evans had a brawl with Sasha Banks and Bayley before her match with Sasha Banks, but Then Sasha Banks injured her ankle and is unable to compete. So she's unable to compete because she broke her ankle. Now, I feel like WWE is doing everything in their power to protect Sasha Banks here, and I'm glad they're doing that. I'm glad they're protecting Sasha Banks, because clearly that's telling you, if they're protecting her, clearly they could be thinking about, clearly she's obviously one of the favorites to win the Royal Rumble. You wouldn't think someone who is one of the favorites to win the Royal Rumble, they wouldn't have them, lose matches or they, do anything bad. If it's someone who they're investing their time in to win the Royal Rumble, it sounds like they're protecting Sasha for this reason. Sasha Banks is the only person that should be worthy of winning the Royal Rumble. I don't give a shit what anyone says about Ronda Rousey or Shayna Baszler. There are still hundreds of different ways that you can have Ronda Rousey or Shayna Baszler versus Becky Lynch without the Royal Rumble. There's plenty of ways to have that happen. So, I feel like Sasha is definitely deserving to win the Royal Rumble. That's just my personal opinion. I feel like that's why they didn't have her in this match. They replaced Bayley in this match, which I'll get to in a second. It just feels like they're protecting Sasha. Possibly for a Royal Rumble win. So then we had Bayley taking on Lacey Evans here in a pretty average women's match. It was the longest women's match on SmackDown. And Lacey Evans would get the win with the woman's right, or the weapon of mass destruction, the KO punch. Basically Big Show's knockout punch. But she's basically the female Big Show, because that's her finishing move, the knockout punch. And this was the first time that Bayley has lost a match as a heel. This is her first official loss as a heel. I mean, she doesn't look weak. For those who are going to claim that, they made Bayley look weak in this match, they didn't. Bayley has looked strong so much. Bayley has looked unbelievably strong. She's been booked, she's been protected heavily as the champion. Like I told you guys a few weeks ago, when the whole situation with Sasha Banks happened with Dana Brooke, sometimes it's okay to at least lose one match. Besides, Bayley lost when it mattered. Okay? Because now they've confirmed Lacey Evans versus Bayley for the SmackDown Women's title. Bayley lost when it mattered. That is when it's fine to have your champions lose. Your champion should lose when it matters. They shouldn't just be randomly losing on TV. That leads to nowhere. So I feel like Bayley's loss here made a whole lot of sense. Even though she's the champion and I disagree with champions losing, I feel like this was the perfect time for Bayley to lose a match, because it called for it. Because it called for her to lose because of the Royal Rumble. But of course, the people in today's generation are so thick-headed, they think the champion should never lose, period, and they don't care if it's only one loss. They'll instantly claim the champion looks weak after one loss, which is absolutely mind-bogglingly stupid. So Bayley loses here to the woman's rights, and Lacey Evans put her hand on Bayley's bra, because a lot of people mentioned that. I've seen photos of it, and people were saying that this is so PG. But whatever. Whatever. I do wish they should just have. I wish Lacey Evans would just pin people properly when she delivers the woman's right, because when she pins people, it just looks really silly. I really think they need to start having Lacey Evans hooking the legs when she starts pinning people, because it just looks silly to see her fall on top of somebody or just pin them in an awkward fashion. She's not Maurice, okay? She's not Maurice. Only Maurice used to do that. Just have Lacey Evans pin people properly when she does the woman drive. So next we had Braun Strowman. He was asking for a Intercontinental Championship match because he's beaten Shinsuke Nakamura twice. Shinsuke Nakamura and Braun Strowman are declared into the Royal Rumble because Sami Zayn mentioned Shinsuke's name. Elias had a performance. Sami Zayn interrupted with Shinsuke and Cesaro. They attacked Elias. Then out came Braun. Yeah, this was just so silly. And the fact, look, I like Braun. But please guys, please guys, you guys can't be serious. People cannot be seriously telling me, how can Braun Strowman go from losing a match to a boxer like Tyson Fury, who is a boxer by the way? How can you have Braun Strowman lose to Tyson Fury and make us believe that he is worthy to challenge for the Intercontinental Championship? How is losing to a boxer automatically make him a worthy contender for a title? Sure, he pinned Shinsuke twice. And those 2 times that Shinsuke lost, it really made no sense. Like I told you guys with Bayley, the champion should lose when it matters. These 2 losses have led to nowhere for Shinsuke. They haven't even announced that Braun's going to verse Shinsuke for the Intercontinental title yet. So why bother? Have Braun beat Shinsuke if they haven't even confirmed the title match yet? It's just stupid to me. That's why I was semi-okay. I like this new Bayley. But that's why I was sort of okay with Bayley losing tonight, because I felt like it called for it. You gotta have the champion lose when it matters. As long as it sets up a title match, that's when the champion should lose. They shouldn't just randomly take losses and it leads to nowhere. Like I just mentioned to you guys before. Braun Strowman lost to a boxer. So how is Braun losing to a boxer automatically declare him as number 1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship? To me, it just makes no sense. To me, it makes no sense, man. It makes no sense. So then we have Alexa Bliss versus Sonja Deville. Early on in the show, Sonja Deville asked Mandy Rose why she likes Otis, because she says he's a nice guy. But then she asks Mandy to bring Otis at ringside for her match with Alexa Bliss, because last week Otis came out last week to help Mandy Rose beat Alexa Bliss. So Sonja thinks she can do the exact same thing with Otis at ringside for her. That's why she asked Mandy to have Otis at ringside. Which she doesn't know which Mandy tells Sonja that she doesn't know if it will work because it's Sonja. And then Sonja says, well, it's you talking to Otis. I'm pretty sure he will listen to you. So Alexa Bliss versus Sonja Deville happens, and this match was short as hell. This match was so short. This match was incredibly short. And yes, Otis did come out at ringside. But Mandy goes up to the top rope. Nikki Cross intervenes to stop the interference. Nikki Cross punches Mandy. Mandy falls off the top rope, and Otis catches her as she was falling. And you see this awesome moment where you see Mandy Rose smiling that Otis caught her when she was about to fall, and you could see how perfect this was. This is the perfect way to set up the split of Mandy Rose and Sonja Deville. I feel like this is where it's all leading to. It has to lead to Sonja turning her back on Mandy Rose. I've discussed it. I personally think Sonja Deville, because we all know she's a lesbian, I personally think that this is probably how they're going to do it. They're probably going to make this rivalry feel more like it's part of, Sonja's gayness, because she's a lesbian. And Sonja has to snap at some point, because Mandy Rose is falling in love with a guy. And because of Sonja's lesbian nature, she will probably think that Mandy is picking Otis over her. So then you could have Sonja turn on Mandy Rose. Hell, you could do it at the Royal Rumble. It makes sense. Have Sonja Deville toss out Mandy Rose in the Royal Rumble match. I think that makes perfect sense. All I'm saying is this has to lead to a Sonja Deville and Mandy Rose breakup. Otherwise, you'll be dealing with the same shit that we tolerated with Sasha Banks and Bayley in 2018. I love you, I hate you. We fight, we bitch. We argue, we fight. First I love you, now I hate you. Punch, 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 punch. And now we're all goody friends again. I don't want Sonja and Mandy ending up like the Sasha Banks Bayley storyline from 2018. I feel like it's clearly setting up Sonja Deville to turn on Mandy Rose. So because of what happened here, Sonja gets distracted and Alexa Bliss gets the roll-up victory on Sonja Deville. Poor old Sonja. Poor old Sonja. She tried to do... Poor old Sonja. Man, poor Sonja Deville. Tried to have Otis at ringside thinking it would help her, but in reality, it just made things worse. It just made things worse for her, and it only just made the relationship of Mandy and Otis stronger. So, then actually, before we talk about the main event, Daniel Bryan challenges the Fiend Bray Wyatt to a strap match. Okay? I don't get why. I think this was a bit weird, because Daniel Bryan said that he wanted to make sure that the Fiend had nowhere to escape. Me personally, making a strap match is kind of weird. I was more thinking it would have been perfect if it was a cage match. Not a Hell in a Cell, just a steel cage. But, they made it a strap match. So, speaking of stipulations, the main event between Roman Reigns and Robert Roode is a tables match. And whoever wins picks the stipulation for Roman Reigns versus King Corbin at the Royal Rumble. Now, normally whenever this type of shit happens, normally the heels would walk away with the with the win here, but nope, not when Roman Reigns is the main attraction here. Corbin and Ziggler do interfere in this tables match, which all leads to the Usos coming out. Usos taking out Dolph Ziggler with an Uso splash onto the announce table, which looked pretty impressive. And Roman Reigns delivering a spear to Robert Roode through the table. And by the way, Robert Roode just came back. Okay? First off, Robert Roode just came back. 2, Robert Roode attacked Roman Reigns from behind. Do you guys see? Do you guys see the problem here? This guy's just returned from a 30-day suspension, and you have him lose? You have him lose in his first match back? Now this is how you make someone look weak. That's how you make someone look weak. Robert Roode couldn't beat Roman Reigns by attacking him from behind. That is how you make a wrestler look weak. Someone like Robert Roode really needs to be on his own here. I really feel like Robert Roode needs to be on his own, away from Corbin and Ziggler. Robert Roode is worth so much more than just being lackeys for King Corbin and being in a tag team with Dolph Ziggler. He's worth so much more than this. He is a worthy contender for the Intercontinental Championship. I would much rather Robert Roode and Shinsuke Nakamura for the Intercontinental Championship, to be perfectly honest. But, nah, they're not going to do that because they would much rather make Robert Roode a chump to Roman Reigns. So, Roman Reigns won, and his stipulation is Falls Count Anywhere. So, that's that, guys. That's that. That is your SmackDown review, and hope you guys enjoyed. Hit that thumbs up if you guys did enjoy. Comment your opinions down below, and I will see you all next time. See you guys next time.